evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Monday, December 5, 2022. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. House approves billions in supplemental funds for Linden electricity drainage works. Government probing purchase of suspected refurbished CT machine for $1 million US. Election COI, TSU was not acting on officer in charge's orders to escort GECOM chair. Couple electrocuted at Success squatting area, and WAIKIN Ranch home to 400 bird species and an adventure of a lifetime. Now for the news in detail. The National Assembly today approved billions of dollars in supplemental funds for a range of expenses it incurred after Budget 2022, including expenses for fuel subsidies and increases, as well as the money for drainage works. Here is Gerald Bryan with our lead story tonight.
On Monday, the government brought two financial papers to the National Assembly, $2.9 billion for August to November and for the $4.4 billion for the period ending this year-end. Among the amounts approved was $1.7 billion in current expenses for the Linden Electricity Company. Prime Minister Mark Phillips, who oversees the energy sector, explained that this amount will support the continuation of the Linden subsidy. Additionally, he noted that the increase in fuel expenses caused by the Russian-Ukraine war necessitated additional spending.
We would have forecasted that by a certain time in the year 2022, we will require additional money. All the staff work, all the checks, all the analyses were done, and we'd asked both sides to submit their invoices, and we went to the consolidated fund. I don't have to explain the procedure for getting money from the consolidated fund. And we got the money in time to keep the lights on in Linden.
Meanwhile, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa had to defend $740.1 million, which went towards urgent drainage works.
As I said, that these works were executed in conjunction with the local bodies because it was necessary and it was urgent. And we had to ensure that we do this work, or else we could have serious problems around the country. And that was the reason, because of the representation that was made to the Ministry of Agriculture through the NDIA, we were able to execute these works.
Just a few days ago, Guyana signed an agreement with Hess for its forest carbon. But to certify its forest carbon, Guyana spent $360 million in issuance fees for that certificate. Natural Resources Minister Vikram Bharat defended this allocation in the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, there is what we call the Art Secretariat, the Architecture for RED Plus transactions. It is actually, there's a secretariat, and it's an organization that obviously will have a structure and personnel, because they have to come to Guyana to do physical verification of Guyana's forest. That is how it works, actually. And they've been doing this over the last 2 years. We have people in Guyana verifying the forest to ensure that when companies are paying for credits, it is actually real credits, because there have been attempts by many others to sell carbon credits for forests that don't exist.
Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
Also, during today's sitting of the National Assembly, the House heard that an investigation has been launched into the purchase of what they suspect is a refurbished CT scan machine at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation for almost $1 million US, double the market price. Here is Gerald Bryan again with the details.
Questions were on Monday put to Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony on the availability of CT scans for the Linden Hospital. When he took the floor to respond to the opposition's questions, however, Dr. Anthony also revealed that an investigation is underway into the purchase of a CT scan machine at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. He also revealed that not only was the machine purchased at an inflated sum, there are even doubts whether the machine is a new one.
In the public sector, we have 3 CT scans. One is at the Georgetown Hospital, one is at Bartica, and one is at New Amsterdam. At the Georgetown Hospital in 2018, a CT scan was purchased and was subsequently installed. That one right now, we're going through some investigation with that. While it's a 64-slice CT scan, We're not sure whether it was a refurbished machine. And again, the price is far more than what a CT scan of that nature would cost. We paid close to $1 million US when the scan is normally about 500 or so thousand US dollars.
When it comes to the Linden Hospital complex, the minister assured that the facility is earmarked for a CT scan machine. In fact, he said that the government plans to install at least 10 such machines in different hospitals across the country.
Over the next 3 years, the government is committed to at least install about 10 different CT machines in different hospitals across the country. Already we have given out contracts with the new hospitals that we're building. Inclusive in the new hospitals are imaging equipment such as CT scans.
Moreover, Dr. Anthony highlighted that 3 biomedical analyzers are at the Linden Hospital. Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
Housing and Water Minister Colin Crowell today presented the Planning and Development Single Window System Bill of 2022 in the National Assembly. Find out more in this report.
I present to the Assembly Planning and Development Single Window System Bill, Bill number 26 of 2022, a bill intituled An Act to Provide for the Establishment of the Planning and Development Single Window System, to provide for the management and implementation of the Planning and Development Single Window System, to provide for the establishment of the Planning Oversight Committee, to define the function of the Planning Oversight Committee, to centralize functions pertaining to land use, planning, and development, and for matters connected thereto.
Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell presenting to the National Assembly the Planning and Development Single Window System Bill. Back in October, Minister Crowell highlighted that the government acknowledged the increased demands for building permits and other services by the Central Housing and Planning Authority and again Water Incorporated. Once the legislation is in place, it will, among other things, standardize application forms and checklists, as well as drastically cut down on the time needed to complete a transaction. The ministry will also transition from paper-based to computerized records. The implementation of the single window system forms part of the government's efforts to create a business-friendly environment and improve the ease of doing business through an electrical portal that allows investors to submit planning and building permits and check the status of the permits from anywhere in the world. Extensive consultations were also held with the relevant stakeholders, including the local neighborhood democratic councils, heads of service agencies, and regulatory bodies ahead of the presentation of the bill.
On March 5, 2020, when ranks from the Tactical Services Unit proceeded to escort GECOM chairperson, retired Justice Claudette Singh, from the command center, they were not acting on the instructions of then officer in charge, Superintendent Guy Nurse. These revelations were made today as the Commission of Inquiry into the 2020 elections continued. Details in this Rupacina Ryan report.
Superintendent Guy Nurse, the former officer in charge at the Tactical Services Unit, on Monday testified before the Commission of Inquiry into the March 2020 general and regional elections. While the unit is stationed at the police headquarters, Eve Leary, it was on standby at the Bergdam police station during the 2020 polls. In his testimony, Nurse was asked if he directed instructions to remove the GECOM chair, which he responded in the negative. He also told the COI that Deputy Superintendent Clifton Davis, who was in charge of the ranks, did not communicate such.
Did you give instructions to Deputy Superintendent Davis to go to Ashman's building to escort the chairman of GECOM from that building on the 5th?
No.
Did Davis ever tell you that he had received such instructions?
No.
When for the first time did you become aware of that?
That would be maybe after, in the evening when they came back, after they returned to TSU, they had to go back. That's the only time I would have known. Have to be after that.
I wasn't aware that they moved from breakdown to move the GECOM commissioner.
No, the Ashman's building.
No,
you were not aware.
I would not be aware.
It was on this day that returning officer Claremont Mingo attempted to declare the regional results from the poll without completing the verification of the statements of poll. Meanwhile, PPPC party agent responsible for tabulation Anisha Mohammed also testified into the events of March 4th, 2020. Photo evidence has shown that the laptop found with GECOM data entry clerk Enrique Livan is the same laptop that was used earlier in the tabulation room to analyze the SOPs. Livan had claimed that it was a different device he was found with after leaving the tabulation room that evening with a laptop.
She said that the laptop he was working on, or the laptop that was in front of him, was his, and he did not take the laptop from the room.
Okay. And did you speak up?
Yes, I did. I proceeded to show them a picture of the laptop that was in use in the room, and it was the exact laptop that was in front of him.
Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
President Dr. Irfan Ali left Guyana today for Bridgetown, Barbados to participate in the 8th CARICOM Cuba Summit, which will be held on Tuesday, December 6th at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center. This December also marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between CARICOM and Cuba. The head of state is accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Hugh Todd, Guyana's ambassador to CARICOM, George Talbot, and other officials. Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips has been sworn in to carry out the functions of president. Coming up, Father Malcolm Rodrigues dies and the government to market Guyanese Christmas as unique tourism product. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Happy holidays from Superbet. We would like to extend the best wishes to you and your family. We are thankful for the tremendous support for the last 10 years, and we wish you a successful 2023. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the management and staff of Superbet.
Optic offers great patient care that is tailored for my entire family.
At Optic, a wide selection of affordable optical frames and optical services are available to fit your budget.
At Optic, my family is provided with comprehensive eye examination and access to the ophthalmology services, all under one roof.
Optic takes pride in delivering exceptional customer service and a unique experience to you, our customers.
Optic Vision Care is a company that is Guyanese born and grown that will help you take care of your precious eyes.
Did you know that the government has funded the 2022 budget through oil revenues? Yes. Money earned from oil production offshore is being used to support projects in Guyana, including social programs like the increase of public assistance and old age pension, as well as cash grants to support the vulnerable members of society.
Now you have another reason to shop at Gafours from now till Christmas. Gafours has launched its 7-car promotion with over $30 million in prizes to be won. With any purchase of $5,000 for self-service or $100,000 for wholesale customers, you have a chance to enter any one of our 7 branches. This promotion runs from September 9th to December 29. For more information, visit our Facebook page at Gafours or contact us on 223-9896. Gafours, the name you can trust.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Father Malcolm Rodriguez has died at age 81. He was a recipient of the country's third highest national award, the Cassie Crown of Honor. Father Rodriguez is recognized as one of those who fought for democracy during the time of the Forbes-Burnham regime in the 1970s and 80s. President Dr. Irfan Ali, in his message of condolences, noted that Guyana, and in particular the Roman Catholic Church, has lost a true champion. Father Rodriguez was ordained in 1973 and held various positions throughout his life. He had served as head of the physics department from 1976 to 1984 and then dean of the Faculty of Natural Sciences from 1986 to 1989. He later became deputy vice chancellor of UG and held the post from 1991 to 1993. Father Rodriguez also served as a member of the Iowa Krama Committee from 1989 to 1990. We now tell you that police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of a husband and wife whose bodies were found in an alleyway at Success, East Coast, Demerara. They have been identified as 32-year-old Sarojini Hansraj, a nurse, and 39-year-old Prahalad Jagnarain, a taxi driver who resided in the squatting area of the community. It is suspected that the duo was electrocuted sometime between 19 hours last evening and 6 hours today. Reports are that the couple resided with their 11-year-old daughter. The child told investigators that her mother departed the home last evening to pick up her father. This morning, when she woke up and realized that her parents were not at home, the 11-year-old walked out into the alleyway where she found her parents lying motionlessly next to each other. She immediately alerted neighbors who assisted her and notified the police. The bodies were examined and burn marks were seen on the neck, chest, and right wrist of Jagnarain and on the left wrist and left side back of Hansraj. Further searches were done and a length of red and black wire was seen next to the two bodies. The wire was connected to an electrical post leading to their home. An all-male panel has called for more to be done to tackle violence against men in light of the stereotypes about men and masculinity. Research has shown that male victims of gender-based violence do not speak out because they worry about their image, that they would be perceived as less masculine if they reported the abuse. Fiona Morrison tells us more.
Last Friday, the University of Guyana, UG, held an all-male panel discussion entitled, open quote, Guyanese Men Can Disrupt Tolerance for Violence, end quote, in commemoration of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, which is observed from November 25th to December 10th. UG student Marlon Hernandez, who was a part of the panel, expressed that there needs to be more awareness of gender-based violence, specifically against men, and the different avenues of therapy and coping mechanisms. Pastor Patrick Findlay, who is also the chairman of the Police Service Commission, PSC, related that over the years, there has been a greater prevalence of violence perpetrated against men.
For gender-based violence, sometimes we limit the scope of what happens in gender-based scenario. I think a better word to use is gender-based abuse. So we have a lot of stuff happening, and men might not get beaten and go to the station, but they're verbally abused, emotionally emasculated, all kind of, so that's the whole part of the thing. But I also want to subscribe to the fact that a lot of these women who abuse men are also victims of their childhood experiences. They may have seen in their homes the father beat the mother, and she vowed that would never happen to me. No man in knocking me. And so she comes as the aggressor. This might be a good man, but because of our own upbringing, everything happens. So if he tries to do anything, that's how it. So I want to posit that the home is the foundation, and what we do in the home is being reproduced when the kids leave.
According to Dr. Astel Collins, a man is less likely to go to the police station to report that he is being abused by a woman.
So I think not only is it underreported, I don't think it's even reported at all. However, he spoke about counseling and therapy. We have one of the best minds in that feel, Mr. Will Campbell. But I think, yes, you know, when the school had issues, we called upon him for his guidance and leadership in that department. But I think, as he said, we need to have an aggressive, all-round approach to gender-based violence, whether it is violence against women or violence against men.
He therefore suggested that there be a national program that sets targets to reduce the issue.
Andrew Carmichael now tells us about a ranch in the North Rupununi which has some of the rarest birds in the country. WAIKIN Ranch is a perfect spot for bird watching with over 400 species and is regarded as an ideal spot for an adventure of a lifetime. Here's a look.
The Rupununi savannas encompasses 5,000 square miles of virtually untouched savannas, swamplands, and rainforested mountains. In the middle of the North Rupununi and along the Kurupakari-Letem Road is WAIKIN Ranch. Sitting on 33,000 acres, most of which is savanna, the ranch is home to many of Guyana's large animals, including the giant anteater and several species of monkeys. In any given day, a visitor can see most of the 400 species of birds documented there. Yes, that many birds live there. Out of that number, 2 are endangered and 1 rare. The ranch also offers horseback riding, canoeing, and fishing excursions for guests. Guests can also learn to drive a tractor or experience feeding the pigs, sheep, or milking the cows. Operator of the ranch, Victor Perez, says most of the guests so far enjoyed fishing.
We have a pond here stocked with tambaki, which is a lovely fish to catch on a rod. It fights very, very heavily. We have an excellent record with anteaters, with guests seeing anteaters, almost a 90% success rate for our guests. And our guest is quite broad. About 50% are local, and 25% American, 25% European. When I say North American, I'm America or Canada.
Perez is the CEO of Caribbean Chemicals. He said his father was a major shareholder in livestock development company, Litco, which went out of operations some 30 years ago. The company had 500,000 acres of land when it was closed. Perez was given 33,000 acres of land in lieu of his 18% shares.
And that isn't even 1% of the land Litco had. Right? So I ended up with this.
Okay. And you initially got into animals and so on?
Initially we got in, well, I own Caribbean Chemicals, so I know agriculture. So first thing we did was went into agriculture. Fruits, vegetables, spices. So we tried almost everything. That yellow watermelon was first planted here because we didn't know how good it will do. So before even Georgetown knew about it, we had grown it up here.
Fruits and spices and vegetables, how well was that doing?
It was doing very well. At one point we were up to 25 people. We're down to 14 now. And the 25 was when we were in fruits and vegetables.
But what inspired the shift from agriculture to tourism? Perez says this was due to something which occurred in neighboring Brazil.
The Brazilian economy, their dollar went from 2 to 1 US to 4 to 1 US. And that immediately made every product from Guyana more expensive than a product from Brazil. So Letem started buying everything from Brazil instead of Guyana.
The ranch is located 20 minutes from the town of Letem by road. Perez says with the road from Georgetown to Letem being improved, it is becoming easier for persons to get to WAIKIN Ranch for day and overnight trips. With the WAIKIN Ranch and the North Essequibo having over 400 species of birds, 2 of which are endangered and 1 rare, it certainly should be one of your #1 tourist destinations. From the North Rupununi, for the Evening News, Andrew Carmichael.
Meanwhile, the annual Christmas tree light-up at Rahamans Park at the mouth of the East Bank Highway was held on Sunday evening, where government officials announced their intention to market Guyanese Christmas as a unique tourism product. Let's have a look.
We are more convinced than ever that the Guyanese Christmas is a compelling tourism product. That our diaspora, the Guyanese who live abroad, we want to come. We experience nothing like this outside of Guyana, and there is just something unique about Guyana and a Christmas time here, and we miss it when we are abroad. And so we find that there are many visitors coming here, and so Guyanese, we are going to be building on this. This is our tourism product, and I want us all to buy into and understand that what we have here is so unique. Yes, the pepper pot is ultra unique. There's nothing like it in the world. The black cake, the ginger beer, the foods, but more importantly, it's our people.
I always take a moment to marvel at Guyanese traditions and the time we take to ensure that they are kept alive. Guyanese customs and practices are truly unique and originate from a myriad cultures that all converge to make a magnificent melting pot of traditions.
This Christmas, fireside is blazing bright. We're caroling through the night, and this Christmas will be a very special Christmas for me.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbor Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Tuesday, December 6th at 4 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Tuesday, December 6th at 15 hours for a period of 1.5 hours.
England women condemn Windies women in opening ODI, and final teams decided for MVP Sports futsal tourney. Details of these stories and more in the Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.